As many of you know, recently Charlie Kirk was assassinated while he was speaking at a college in Utah. Some of you guys have asked me to make a video wondering my thoughts on is the narrative that the media is putting out there for everybody to latch onto what I believe happened. Mostly from my perspective as a sniper. I was in the Marine Corps Special Operations. I was a raider and a scout sniper, and then I serve as a first responder now and on a tactical team. And from my experience, what I've learned throughout my career is that very often what the media puts out there for people to digest is very often different from the truth. And I don't want to feed into conspiracies here, but what I have learned is that there's very often more than what meets the eye. And not necessarily from a conspiracy standpoint, but also just there's a lot of people, they just don't understand the full situation, and there's always more information coming out, more leads are being discovered. And so, not to bash anybody or any agency or any political party or anything like that, just this is one reason, the primary reason I waited almost 3 weeks before making a video. You know, even now at this point, the narrative has changed. So many different things have come out. But a key point that I noticed from the very start in this whole situation is how easily information and leads were just aligning. It was like every little thing that someone would ask, like, oh, here's the answer to that. Here's the answer to that. Oh yeah, we got an answer for that. It's kind of too easy to where it made me kind of wonder, and I'll describe more of what I mean. So I will cover some of that, but this video I want to primarily focus on Charlie Kirk and his legacy and who he was as a man of God. Because, yeah, I told you my background. That's some of the perspective I'll take because that's some of what people are asking me. That's what they care about. But, first and foremost, I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian man. And, I want to honor Charlie Kirk. I love that dude. And what I really respect about him is his boldness to be able to go to places like liberal schools and have these open conversations when he was very often being ridiculed by people being very cruel, and how he was able to show the truth while respecting people and showing the love of God. And, would sometimes those conversations get a little heated and chippy? Sure. I'm a police officer. I get it, But yeah, I really respect him, utilizing freedom of speech and carrying biblical values, and the proof's in the pudding of what happened after his death. And I'll touch more on that later in the video. But people are asking, was this guy, Tyler Robinson, that is the alleged gunman, do I think he was the one that carried this out? Now, I'll preface this whole part of the video with, I intentionally have not looked very much into this assassination. I've seen some of it, I've looked into it a little bit, but this stuff can be a black hole, and it's like, really, what are you reading that is true? And so, to me, what matters is Charlie Kirk, the legacy, and what I can take away as a Christian. But initially, the headlines that came out were saying, oh, professional hit, 22-year-old, or however old he was, kid with a 30-06, shot him. They were saying that he shot him with a bolt gun, 30-06, grandpa's rifle, broke it down, put it in a duffel bag, ran along the roof, exfilled, reassembled the bolt gun, and stashed it in the woods for law enforcement not to find or to find. Let me tell you this to start with. As a scout sniper, Okay, first of all, we know this kid wasn't a scout sniper, but from a professional standpoint, uh, the term target indicator is drilled into every sniper's mind. Target indicator definition is anything a sniper does or fails to do that reveals his presence, passage, or position to the enemy. First of all, you're not going to break a bolt gun down. Okay, it's not like collapsing an AR and you remove 2 pins, break it down, go, reassemble it. Okay, there's more to it than that. Also, it's gonna only collapse it and shorten the rifle by like a very small amount to where it's not even worth it. At that point, speed security. A professional is not going to be on a roof out in the open doing that, knowing you're exposed to cameras, knowing people are gonna see muzzle flash, all these different things. I'm not going to go into what a professional would do because that's not for me to put out to the internet. Okay, but in regards to him stashing the rifle in the woods, a professional is not going to take the time to reassemble a bolt gun and then leave it there, revealing his presence, passage, and position to the enemy. Okay, the enemy being people that are going to compromise him. And so also these shell casings that had different messages or screwdriver or whatever, the DNA was matched, or and these casings had different messages on them, about like fascist or whatever. More target indicators, more emotion, right? It's almost like it's thrown out there to get an emotional response. And I feel that, I discern that it's off to me personally. Also, people saying, oh, well, initially it was like, oh, the dad was a 27-year deputy, this, that, and the other. What, dad wasn't even a deputy. It's like, don't question the parents. Like, it's like every little thing that you would think of, like, how would a kid, well, he's a grown man, 22, grow up to be like this? What did the parents do? Like, oh, the dad was a deputy. Dad's good. Dad turned him in. Like, no, dad wasn't law enforcement. He may have helped in turning his son in identification or whatnot. But you see how I'm saying things change very quickly as the days progress. And so these are just a couple of the things. Also, I noticed since different analyses and different videos that people did on the angle of the shooter, of the entrance wound, people were saying initially that he had a SAPI plate on, it deflected and went up into the throat. He didn't have a SAPI plate on or soft armor. You can see his nipple. The item that is seen coming up into his throat area, that appears to be a mic, a little microphone that he was either recording audio or whatever. And so I don't believe that was the round. I saw another video of blood splatter on the back right of his head. And that does align with an entrance and exit of here if there was another shooter behind him. I don't want to get into my thoughts and whether I believe of any of these conspiracy theories, but it is worth considering what is the truth. And the reason this is important from my perspective is, why was Charlie Kirk assassinated? He was speaking the truth, okay? He was not just debating political things, but he was debating political perspectives from biblical values. They were rooted in Scripture. Everything I heard him say, he backed up with Scripture. And so he wasn't just a threat to a political party. He was a threat spiritually to the kingdom of darkness. And, as a Christian man, this is important to me. So I'm the security team lead for my church. I've done some personal security detail overseas, like not a ton. I'm not trying to claim that on my resume, but I have done it. But here in the States, I do quite a bit with my pastors become pretty high profile. He went to Charlie Kirk's funeral, and our security team, we do a lot with other VIPs, if you will. We recently did a conference. Several awesome men of God came, like John Bevere and different ones, and so I get to interact with these different people, and my mind is always on protecting them. Okay, and our team we have an amazing security team. We call them the Watchman team. Excuse me. Where we focus on protecting the people, the place, and the presence of God. And so a lot of our guys, they carry firearms, tourniquets, different other med gear and stuff. And this is very near and dear to my heart, because I'm always thinking about these things. And it's a big reason why I make the videos that I make. And when it comes to like Charlie Kirk being shot, like after the fact, okay, this happened. Now, what about an autopsy? I'm hearing like that there's not going to be an autopsy. And again, this is one of those things. We're almost 3 weeks later and people are wondering, autopsy or no. It's going to change again as the days go on. So I'm curious to know what's going to happen there. I don't know why one wouldn't be done. I recently, it was today, I saw a little clip which made me think of this. And this lady posted a picture of her reaction to just a recording from dispatch of local law enforcement saying like, there's not gonna be an autopsy. Well, don't just put that out there to the whole internet to believe that an autopsy is not gonna happen, because that's probably just the local law enforcement saying they're not doing an autopsy, and that doesn't necessarily mean that an autopsy isn't indefinitely gonna be done. In their situation, they're talking more about what matters to them as their local law enforcement agency of when's not happening here. And then you can hear a supervisor saying, okay, hey, just write us up to the original case saying they're not doing an autopsy because is it happening in their jurisdiction, right? For their case. All right. And so it's just, and then there's all these things that, the FBI will be like, okay, yeah, we have answers to this. We have answers to that. Any question, like, oh yeah, here's that. It's like, it's so easy and it's hard for me to buy into, for it to just be like people that are upset about Charlie Kirk being killed, it's like it triggers an emotional response of like, the messages on the shell casings, for people to buy into it. And it's like, cool, this case is closed, leads exhausted. We got the guy. Everything's done. So again, I don't want to feed into conspiracies, but to me, the whole situation is a little weird, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen moving forward. So those are my thoughts for those of you that are wondering. And so I encourage you guys to button up your EDC, your everyday carry. If you can't carry a firearm legally yet, hurry up and do so. If you're not 21, hurry up and turn 21. Get trained on medical gear, learn how to protect yourself, your family. If you're a believer, you go to church, set up a security team if you don't have one. Just this last week, the Taliban put out a video calling for terrorist attacks on Christians in America. And then just today, a couple hours ago, there was an attack at a Mormon church in Michigan. And it looked like a VBID, vehicle-borne IED. I didn't read the article, so I might be misquoting. And then there was some gunfire, and then the church itself was caught on fire. So I think 1 or 2 have been confirmed dead already, and 10 were injured. So it's a crazy world, man. And this is where being a believer and using discernment and wisdom come into place. And I'll do another video on the biblical stance of self-protection and defense. But my main focus and takeaway that I want people to get from this video is the thing I love most about Charlie Kirk is that he was not afraid what people were going to think of him. And I heard him say that he was more concerned about what God would say to him, you know, when he met him in heaven, than what people would say about him here on earth, because that's temporary. And I was like, man, that's such a good perspective to have. And for me, this really affected me because my number one struggle with starting YouTube and continuing it now is I come from SOCOM, Special Operations in the Marine Corps, MARSOC, and there the code of the silent warrior is such a big thing, to the point of where it's almost toxic. And it's great there. It's great. It builds a very professional organization, and where there's operational security and confidentiality, and loose lips sink ships, as the Marine Corps says. However, in ministry, that's not the case. And that's where I'm at now. And I'm not in the Marine Corps. I'm John, right? And so there's understand your operational environment, right? I am now John. I'm not overseas, and I want to help people. I want to pour into their life. And if I just shut up and keep my mouth closed and I don't tell people about God, I don't, take that step, like I said before, I'd rather be in physical warfare than having conversations a lot of the times. I'm an introvert, so this is hard for me. But I pray that this helps you. I pray that this helps people and encourages people. And I think it will, because looking at Charlie Kirk's funeral, so many millions of people were at his funeral and watching online and impacted in a positive way. Whether you're a Christian like me or not, you cannot deny the fact that brought unity, and it bettered so many people's lives. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of his life. But then looking at how his wife Erica in the funeral forgave the shooter, okay? Whether it was this dude that killed him or not, she released forgiveness. And that is such a powerful thing. It removes so many legal rights spiritually and brings so much room for freedom and inner healing. And I'm excited for what God is now doing in our country. I'm excited for, things moving ahead, but I also have a lot of caution in my heart. So again, I encourage you guys, button up what you're carrying. Make sure you get some good training. I have some other videos on some med stuff, some EDC type stuff. But more importantly, have a relationship with God. Know where you're going to go. Life is short. It's a breath. It vanishes in the wind. And I hope this video blessed you. Thanks for watching. Take care.